Behind the Scene with David Bedein, May 2024, and the days following Israel's Independence Day. 76 years since Israel declared its independence, and on that day that Israel declared its independence, it was fired on by 7 Arab nations. A full-scale war which continues to this day. Unbeknownst to most of the people of Israel, the Arab League, the League of Arab States, which declared war on Israel, has never stopped its war. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, even the United Arab Emirates, all at war with Israel, with all the other 22 Arab nations. That's not something that's known in Israel. People think that quiet means peace. Quiet does not mean peace. One of the things that we're going through this year, why is this Israel Independence Day different from any other Israel Independence Day? It's because there's a full-scale war going on, inspired by not only by the Palestine Liberation Organization and by Hamas, but also by UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. But what's not understood in Israel, since all focus is on Hamas, is the fact that the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, supported and funded the Hamas attack which took place on October 7th, causing 1,200 Jews to be murdered. But what's very important to understand is that the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, which today runs as the Palestine Authority, supported and funded that attack. I repeat, the PLO supported and funded the attack which took place on October 7th, not only the Hamas. Now, it's very important to understand this is part of a full-scale war which Israel faces, and at the same time trying to run a normal life. I'm speaking personally with myself, married with 6 children and 12 grandchildren here in Israel. We try to maintain a normal life. However, what's under the radar is that the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, enacted legislation to remunerate and pay anyone who murders a Jew with a salary for life. Again, the PLO has enacted legislation to remunerate and pay anyone who murders a Jew with a salary for life. That's not always known. It should be mentioned every time that a lone killer murders a Jew, that he's going to get a salary immediately transferred to his account. And no one, not 135 nations that fund the Palestinian Authority, have demanded that the PA stop this procedure, this law. Now, because people were hesitant to really believe that it exists, our agency, the Israel Resource News Agency, working under the Nachum Bedein Center for Near East Policy Research, we hired 9 years ago, a team of Arab journalists who went to the Palestinian Ministry of Justice. We got the actual law. Because people were skeptical as to whether this law existed, we hired our agency, our news and research agency, hired a team of Arab journalists who went to the Palestinian Ministry of Justice and who got the actual law. And we distributed it. This has been distributed to every news agency and research agency in the world. However, very few people refer to it. This should be mentioned every time there's a killing of a Jew by an Arab. It should be mentioned, just as a matter-of-fact statement, very powerful statement, that when he finishes his job, he gets a bank transfer to his account. Very important. Now, the pieces of legislation which come out of the Palestine Liberation Organization, also known as I mentioned, the PA, the Palestine Authority, this is confirmed under the framework of their constitution. Now, how do I know about their constitution? 9 years ago, in 2005, 19 years ago, the Catholic Church, their representative in Israel, what's called the Papal Nuncio, his name was Archbishop Pietro Sambi, with whom I had a good working relationship. He conducted a briefing for members of the United States Congress visiting Israel about the PA Constitution. Now, that Constitution was provided for the Catholic Church along with all other religious entities here in Jerusalem, and there were shocking things. The fact that there is this is what Archbishop Sambi emphasized, was there is no juridical status for the Jews under their constitution. However, what's dominated the news is the word two-state solution. Two-state solution, with giving everyone the impression that what the PA is up about and the PLO are dealing with today is a recognition of the state of Israel in the framework of a two-state solution. That's not happening at all. Very important to know that. Very important to know that. And that what happened on October 7th with an attack on the Jews was something that's been happening every day, all the time. And what our agency has done has been to record and report their schools and their summer camps for everyone to see for themselves. Now, following our discussion today, we'll show you some clips of the violent clips of the UNRWA summer camps, which take place every year. UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, which uses the PLO curriculum, is very clear. Now, there's other issues that need to be understood. The PLO has also passed legislation which requires the execution of any Arab who sells a land to a Jew. We've also put out our reports that the issues of maps, the maps that are issued by the PLO, always not only obliterate Israel, but to replace the names of all Jewish communities in Israel with Arab names. Now, the Palestinian curriculum, there's the new 2024 edition, which you can see on our website, on our site, IsraelBehindTheNews.com, and teaches that the Jews have no right to live anywhere in Israel. Very important. The Jews have no right to live anywhere in Israel because the land doesn't belong to the Jews. And no part of the land, not even the part where Israel is today, within recognized boundaries of the state of Israel. And the fact is, again, that the PLO rejects the two-state solution. And when you hear the lie repeated often enough, again, Goebbels, the Nazi propagandist, would say, a lie repeated often enough becomes believable. You see every single day in the media, sometimes several times a day, about the two-state solution. You will not see anywhere that the PLO and its administrative arm of the Palestinian Authority basically have rejected and will continue to reject any mention of a recognition of the state of Israel. Very important. And they see themselves in a state of full-scale war with Israel. And that's not something that is understood by most people. Because there's a full-scale war right now, and that war does not focus on Jews in Judea, Samaria, also known as the West Bank, and doesn't even focus on Jerusalem, focus on every place where Jews live. And this was the message of the 1948 war. Everywhere where Jews live, we're under attack. And that's what's happening today. So it's an appropriate time to think and to reflect and to understand the implications of the war from 1948, which continues to this day. Behind the Scene with David Bedein will show you, after this program, a compilation of several of the movies that we made over the years, short clips from them, to show that the continuum of incitement against Israel has been something that we live with every day and every year. Behind the Scene with David Bedein. Thank you.
In 2002, a number of UNRWA employees were arrested by Israeli security forces when they were caught using their safe conduct passes or their UN passports to take part in terrorist activities. These activities were mostly the transportation of arms and explosives to be used by suicide bombers.
One prominent suicide bomber was Ayat al-Ahras. In 2002, the 18-year-old girl blew herself up at a Jerusalem supermarket. 2 people were killed. One was an American citizen, Rachel Levy. Here, the former UNRWA student pledges that the Intifada will continue until victory.
Well, I must say that in the first place, it's a Palestinian curriculum, and we're free to do with it whatever we want, whatever we feel is important.
Is that included in the curriculum also, the right of return? Because it's...
No, I don't think so. It's not put in that manner, no.
Palestinian 5th graders are taught this poem entitled "We Shall Return." We shall return. We shall return to the homes, to the valleys, to the mountains, under the flags of glory, jihad, and struggle, with blood, sacrifice, fraternity, and loyalty. Even as Alami denies teaching the right of return, Palestinians say it is the core issue of the conflict. In the Shuafat UNRWA camp in East Jerusalem, Palestinian parliament member Jihad Abu Znaid held an impromptu class on a street.
شو الدور اللي بتلعبه عشان تحرر فلسطين؟ شو ايش بتلاقي حالك كيف؟
نحارب فلسطين.
We want to fight.
نحارب عشان نرجع بلدنا.
كيف؟ مش مبسوط. في set guns، ايش كمان؟
بالحكي.
by talking. مع مين تحكي؟
بالحجار.
by stones. اوكي he mean civic.
بالسلاح.
by guns.
بالصواريخ.
صواريخ.
RPG.
ودنتها ما عندناش صواريخ ولا RPG.
لا من دبل.
احنا فايرين بيش الحجار.
Just who has been working in UNRWA schools? People like Saeed Sayyam, the former Hamas Minister of Interior and Civil Affairs. He taught for 23 years.
قدم فيه حماس الشهداء حتى هذه الساعة في القطاع دفاعا عن أرضنا وشعبنا.
קיץ 2011, בית לחם, מחנות הפליטים עיידה ודהיישה. קייטנות הילדים במימון אונר"א יוצאות לדרך. ומה הם מקבלים בפועל? קבלת פנים לאסיר משוחרר שהורשע בפעילות חבלנית נגד ישראל. ובקייטנת הספורט הילדים מציירים דגל פלסטין על הפנים בשמות הערים והמקומות אליהם ירצו לשוב בבוא העת.
ليش نحن عملنا شهداء؟ عشان شو؟ مش عشان نحرر أقصى ونرجع حيفا ويافا؟ فلسطين عربية من المي للمية. أعلى. فلسطين عربية من المي للمية.
لكن نيجي بنقعدهم انه انت ايش بلدك المعروف الممول الأونروا هي الممول لهذا البرنامج. طبعا مشكوره جدا 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 على هذا البرنامج اللي بتنفذ الاطفال الفلسطينيين بالذات في قطاع غزه لانه في امس الحاجه لهم.
شو بتعطي الطلاب عن اللاجئين وحق العوده؟ في المناهج معنى المخيم هو مكان أقيم للاجئين الفلسطينيين الذين أجبروا على ترك قراهم ومدنهم بسبب الاحتلال. شو بحكوا لك عن حق العودة في المدارس؟
عن الاحتلال وعن كيف حصلت النكبة ومين كان صانعها كيف كان اليهود. كنت مبسوط لأنه لما نزلت على تل أبيب خاصة.
Is Hamas or militant groups, Islamic Jihad, are they launching rockets nearby these shelters, these UN schools?
The armed groups are firing their rockets into Israel from the vicinity of UN facilities and residential areas, absolutely.
Above all, Hamas has nurtured a cruel loyalty, most evident with UN students and their families acting as human shields to protect Hamas missile launchers. One of UNRWA's newest employees is Mohammed Asaf, a singer from Gaza whose mother taught in UNRWA schools. Asaf is now UNRWA's official youth ambassador.
I have received in this room heads of state, prime ministers, many important people, but I have never seen so much expectation here.
Even though his songs repeatedly praise martyrs and violence, he was still hired by the United Nations and is now the public face of UNRWA. Hired to promote peace, Asaf seems determined to do the opposite.
مقاتل في سبيل الله ولنحرر فلسطين من دنس الاحتلال الصهاينة ولنكون نواة مشروع التحرير القادم بإذن الله.
طبيعة العلاقة بين حماس والأونروا هي علاقة طيبة وجيدة. برنامج حماس ثابت في المنهاج التربوي والإعداد وكذلك في برنامج المقاومة.
For years, negotiations have been ongoing with Iran to limit its military power. For decades, Iran has been a source of funding and weapons for Hezbollah and Hamas.
في سبيل الله نمضي في سبيل الله نمضي في سبيل الله نمضي في سبيل الله نمضي.
في قطاع غزة يوجد أكثر من 50 مخيم، العدد اللي التحق فيه أكثر من 15,000 فارس من فرسان حماس.
عن طريق خطف الجنود ونعمل نعمل عمليات استشهادية والمقاومة.
أنا إن شاء الله أساعد الشباب وإن شاء الله أصير مقاوم بالمستقبل مع الدولة الإسلامية.
إحنا ضد السلام، إحنا ضد السلام مع إسرائيل، لأن إسرائيل خونة وكلاب.
أنا مع عملية الطعن لأنها بترعب اليهود، بتخليهم مرعوبين، فيش عندهم سلام أمني. بيحكوا لنا عن اليهود إنهم هدول مش منيح وهدول بقتلوا قاعدين بشبابنا. بيحكوا لنا هدول غدارين، وبيحكوا لنا إنه هدول بغدرونا، هدول مش منيح. إذا بطعن بدعس عليهم.
פחות מקילומטר אחד מקמפוס האוניברסיטה העברית שעל הר הצופים בירושלים ובצמוד לשכונת פסגת זאב שוכן מחנה הפליטים הפלסטיניים שועפאט.
احنا كنا لاجئين هون وقلنا اراضينا قلنا بيوتنا وما حد بنسى انولدنا في المخيم وراح نرجع على اراضينا مهما كلف الامر.
مش إلي من القدس إلنا، لا ما فيش عنا لا تقسيم ولا إشي، ما يطلع برا من هنا وما ليش إشي عنا. هو من وين يعني؟ هو بأمريكا عايش، كيف بيجي بيعلن أن القدس عاصمة إسرائيل؟
זהו התוצר של החינוך בבתי הספר של אונר"א בו לומדים הילדים. כך מטמיעים בקרבם את האשליה כי ישראל תיעלם והם יחזרו לבתי אבותיהם. מטמיעים במוחותיהם שנאה ואיבה לישראל ומכשירים את לב אבותיהם להפוך בעתיד למחבלים. כך גם מרחיקים את השלום, הורסים סיכוי לפיוס.
Palestinian children are taught that their real homes are in cities in modern-day Israel, not far from where they now live.
يصادر أموال الشعب الفلسطيني ومن يحاول إغلاق مؤسسات الأونروا في محاولة لقطع حياة ومعيشة الناس يجب أن يحاكم، ويجب أن يحاكم بجريمة قتل الأرواح، وهذا جزء من المحاكمة الشعبية التي تجري لهذه القيادة الأمريكية.
UNRWA provides health, education, and health services. At the same time, it promotes an ideology that perpetuates war, encouraging residents to remain in their homes until they can conquer Israel and create a new country of Palestine.
لازم نقاومهم ونرجع أراضينا.
نرجع على أراضينا المحتلة في 48 اللي ادوا عكا ويافا والآخر.
One of the Palestinian heroes is Dalal Mughrabi, whose image adorns alleyways near UNRWA schools and neighborhoods. In 1978, she led a terror gang that commandeered a bus and murdered 38 passengers, including 13 children.
دلال المغربي هي شهيدة فلسطينية فرجلت اليهود وهجرتهم.
UNRWA schools portray Mughrabi as a role model. In its current curriculum, Mughrabi's photo appears in a study book for third graders. It is a key lesson in Our Beautiful Language, a new textbook issued in 2019. Online UNRWA education delegitimizes Israel and glorifies those who die or kill others in the name of jihad.
تقدموا كل سماء فوقكم جهنم وكل أرض تحتكم جهنم تقدموا يموت منا الطفل والشيخ ولا يستسلموا.
The denigration of Israel as an enemy of Islam and the Palestinians is a motif that repeats itself in all school books and lessons in online UNRWA education. Here, a teacher explains the so-called intention of the Zionists to set the Al-Aqsa Mosque ablaze and destroy it. Hamas and Islamic Jihad Summer Camps 2021, the way children from UNRWA schools spent their summer vacation.
مخيم طلائع التحرير
سيف القدس للعام 2021. الله أكبر ولله الحمد.
واحنا جيل فلسطين احنا بنعشق الشهاده.
At the summer camps, UNRWA youngsters learned to view the United States and Israel as the devil, the ultimate enemy. They trampled on the flags of both nations and set them afire. The UNRWA youngsters practiced fighting in built-up areas as well as commandeering a vehicle. One exercise featured a mock-up of an Israeli tank. The idea was to teach the children how to sneak up on a tank and kidnap Israeli soldiers. On the 1st of January in 2022, Palestinian Arabs fired weapons during a military procession at the UNRWA refugee camp of Bedein. This took place just 15 minutes from Jerusalem. Marchers called for the removal of Jews from the old city of Jerusalem and for the protection of its Al-Aqsa Mosque.
מתקציבה הכולל של אונר"א מנותב למערכת החינוך הפועלת ללא פיקוח וללא שקיפות. באמצעותה משמרת אונר"א את זכות השיבה המתורגם על ידי צעירי המחנה לעידוד הטרור והמאבק המזוין נגד ישראל.
الله يرحم الشهداء، الله يشفيهم، الله يجعلهم مسوى الجنة.
من يعني في الجهاد وحماس؟
هذولا برفع الراس.
اني اموت علشان فلسطين هذا اشي كبير بالنسبة لإلي.
احنا تهجرنا من يافا واليوم جايين نحكي عن حقنا بالعودة وبدنا نكافح لحد ما نرجع لأراضينا في يافا وأراضينا بحيفا والليل والرملة، إنه راح نرجع قريبا جدا. لو شو ما يصير مش راح يصير سلام. السلام بدناش اياه.
وحابة اقول لكم انه مفتاح العودة لساته معنا وراح نفتح يوم من الايام في بيوتنا.
مثل اني بتعلم بجهدي وحق اني اخذ وطني ونحرر فلسطين، يعني الناس الشهداء يعني بيقدروا يحرروا فلسطين اذا بنضلهم هيك.
أنا نور المسيمة مديرة نادي أشبال العاصفة. إحنا كل سنة اللجنة الوطنية بتعمل نوادي صيفية في مخيم عسكر. قسمنا الأطفال ل4 مجموعات حتى بأسماء شهدائنا في مخيم عسكر، أساسهم يضلوا حاضرين في ذهنهم وفي أفكارهم ويتعلموا منهم البطولة ويضلهم مستمرين في درب المقاومة. وفي عندهم يعني كل طفل مستعد يكون مشروع شهيد مقابل إنه يحافظ على المبادئ اللي احنا مترسخة عنا، حقنا في العودة، وإن شاء الله انتفاضة أقوى جاية، وهدول أطفالنا هم اللي راح يقودوها.